Welcome back to another video tutorial. Today I'll show you how to make this skirt on the screen. I'm sorry, I've been inconsistent lately, but it's because I've been sick, totally down, and I at some point lost my voice, so I literally couldn't record anything. But I'm happy to be back and on my 2 feet. I'm not yet so well, but I think I'm feeling better and I'm in a better position to record. So the materials that you'll need for this project are yarn. For the yarn, I'll be using Winterking. It's a 4-ply acrylic yarn, and I believe I used about 3 to 4 balls of this, and each ball is 50 grams. And you'll need a measuring tape. You're going to measure your hip measurement and then divide it into half and note that figure. So for me, I measured 40 inches hip measurement and divided it into half, which is 20 inches, and that's the measurement that I'll note, and that's the measurement that I'll be using for this project. So just go ahead and measure your hip measurement, divide it by 2, and note that figure down. We shall need it later on. And then you'll also need a crochet hook. I'll be using a 4mm crochet hook, a darning needle to weave in your ends, and a pair of scissors. So let's begin. So this project is worked into 2 panels that are later on joined to form the skirt. So we are going to start with the first panel, then we shall work the second one, and then make it into a skirt. So you're going to start off with a slip knot, and you're going to make a chain of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this project is started from the tip, and we start growing our triangular shape outwards. So after your chain of 5, you're going to go into the first chain that you made with a double crochet. So this project is worked in US terms. So after your double crochet, you're going to chain 1 and place a double crochet into the same exact chain. So you'll have 2 spaces. You have this space and this space. That marks the end of row 1. So you're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that counts as a double crochet chain 1. Turn your work, prepare for a double crochet, and go into the very first stitch, which is this one, with a double crochet. And then you're going to chain 1, double crochet into the next chain 1 space. So the next chain 1 space is this first space here. Place a double crochet in there, and then chain 1, go into the next space, which is this one, and place a double crochet, like that. And then you're going to chain 1 and go into the 3rd chain from the base. So 1, 2, and into the 3rd, you're going to place a double crochet in there. So at this point, we are going to have a total of 1, 2, 3, and 4 spaces. And you can see from 2 spaces to 4 spaces, that's definitely going to start growing out your triangle. So let's go to row 3. Row 3 is going to be a little bit different. So you're going to chain 4, and that chain 4 always counts as a double crochet chain 1. Turn your work, and we are going to make a double crochet, but this time not in the first stitch here. We're just going to go into the space directly and place a double crochet in there, then chain 1, go into the next space and place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, which is the last space here, and then you're going to chain 1 and go into the third chain from the base. So you can see we count from 1, 2, and into the third we place a double crochet in there. So that marks the end of row 3, and now we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So we're going to row 4. You're going to start with a chain of 4, turn your work, and row 4 is going to be the same as row 2. So you first double crochet into the very first stitch like that, and then chain 1, go into the next chain 1 space, which is this one, and double crochet into it, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, chain 1, double crochet into the last space, chain 1, double crochet into the third chain from the base, 1, 2, 3, double crochet in there. And now we are going to have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. And now we're going to chain 1 and double crochet into the same exact space, into the same exact third chain. So this is because we had a stitch into the very first stitch. So when you come to the end here, you make a stitch into the chain 3 and then chain 1 and double crochet into the same exact stitch. So row 4 is going to have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 spaces. Now we are going to row 5, and row 5 is going to be the same exact as row 3. So you're going to chain 4, turn your work, and this time we are not going to go into the very first stitch. So just go into the space with a double crochet, and then chain 1, double crochet into the next space, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, and continue doing this all the way across. And when you place your last double crochet into the last space, you're going to chain 1 and double crochet once into the third chain from the base. That marks the end of row 5. So I'll show you row 6 one more time because it's the one that's a little bit confusing. The even rows are the ones that are a little bit confusing. So row 6, you're going to chain 4, turn your work, go into the first stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, chain 1, double crochet into the next space, and repeat that all the way across. So after placing a double crochet into the last space, you're going to chain one, go into the third chain from the base of this chain and place a double crochet in there, and then you're going to chain one and place one more double crochet there into the same chain. So this is how you increase for the even rows. Then for the odd rows, you do the same exact thing that we did for row 3 as well as row 5. So you're going to keep working and growing your triangle and continue to work the 2 rows. So it's a 2-row repeat, and you're just going to repeat the same thing that you do for the even rows and then the odd rows. Even rows are going to look the same, and then the odd rows are going to look the same. And you're going to continue working. I'm going to keep growing my triangle and I'll let you know how many rows that I did for. So I went ahead to do a total of 21 rows, and that brought me to half of the hip measurement that I'm considering for this project. So you can see it goes up to 20 inches. And from here, you are going to chain one and cut your yarn. And you're going to go ahead and make an identical piece exactly like this one. So you're going to start from here and repeat the same process until you have your 21 rows, or whatever number of rows that you needed to get half of your hip measurement. So my second panel is here. You can see it's identical to what we already have, so they should be the same size. And now we're going to start doing something different. When you finish your second panel, you don't cut your yarn. You can see here we cut, and here we're still attached to the yarn ball. So remove this chain one that you made at the end, and after your last double crochet, you are going to just go into the very first double crochet on this panel. So let me just lay my work like this. So this is our first panel, and it's going to start joining onto the second panel. But then before we do that, just make sure you're joining onto the double crochet on this side without the string. So you're going to just go on top of the chain 3, making sure that you have one more chain here in between, like that, and make a slip stitch, sorry. And then you're going to abandon this, just leave it there. We're going to come back to it, and you're going to get this string and make a slip stitch on this side as well, like that. Make a slip stitch and chain one and pull through. So this way we have joined our skirt into a round garment. So we're going to start working our next row. For me, this will be row 22, and row 22 is going to be worked in the round. So you're going to slip stitch into the next chain one space, sorry, just slip stitch into this first space and chain 4. So the chain 4 counts as a double crochet chain 1, and then you're going to go into the next space with a double crochet chain 1 double crochet into the next space, chain 1, and repeat that all the way across until you're almost done with the first panel, and I'll come back to show you what to do. So just chain 1 and double crochet into the next chain 1 space until you're almost at the end of the first panel. So we're almost coming to the end of our first panel, and I'm placing 1 double crochet and then chain 1 double crochet into the very last space of the first panel, and then chain 1 and then go into the very first space of the next panel and place a double crochet. So from now on, just continue to chain 1 double crochet into the next space. So everything else remains the same. So we're almost coming to the end of the round, and I am placing my last double crochet into the last space of this panel, and then I'll chain 1 and then go into the 3rd chain of the chain 4. So 1 2 3 and make a slip stitch there. So we're going to the next round, slip stitch into this space, chain 4, and then go into the next space with a double crochet and continue to chain 1 double crochet into the next space all the way around until you come back to this spot. I'll meet you back at this spot. So we're coming to the end of our round, and I'm placing my last double crochet into the last chain space, chain 1, slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the chain 4. So into the 3rd chain, make a slip stitch there, and we're going to repeat that round that we just made until we get to our waistline. So I'm going to continue working this round, and I'll let you know how many rows or rounds that I did in order to get to the waistline. Don't forget, you always slip stitch into the next space and chain 4, and then go into the next space with a double crochet. So once we join into the round, we are no longer turning our work to work in the opposite direction of the previous row. Just keep working on one side, and the side that you're going to be working on is going to be the right side of your work. So just continue that. I'll let you know how many rounds that I'll have done in order to get to the waistline, and then we shall do the ribbing and winding up of the project. Alright, so I did a total of 8 rounds after joining into the round. After joining the 2 panels, I did a total of 8 rounds, but you can go ahead and make as many rounds as you wish for your skirt to be. But I just didn't want my skirt to be very long on this block side. So I did 8 rounds, and now we're going to start working on the waistband of the skirt. So you are going to chain 3, this time no slip stitch, just chain 3, and you're going to make a double crochet into each chain space and a double crochet into each stitch. Just go all the way around, placing 1 double crochet into each chain space and 1 double crochet into each double crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you back at this point here. So as you can see, we have stopped creating the mesh pattern for the skirt, and we are making a block row on top of the skirt, and this is going to be our waistband. So I'm almost coming to the end of the round. This is the round of the waistband. And I am placing my last double crochet into the last space there. And I'll go into the very first chain 3 on top of the chain 3 and make a slip stitch. Now the thickness of the waistband will depend on what you want. You can leave it at 1 row or make 2 rows of double crochets or 3 rows. That's really up to you. I'll leave mine at this because I don't want it to get very thick around the waist area. But if you want it thicker, then you can make more rows, at least 1 or 2 more rows if you want a thick waistband. And then from there, once you're done with the rows that you wish to have, and then you'll just chain 1 and cut your yarn, pull through. And now we are just going to make a long chain, a very long chain of about like 150 chains. Just make a slip knot and start chaining a total of about 150 chains. So I have my chain here, and I'm going to place my work on the front side. Any side can be the front side, both sides will almost be the same, but then I noticed that I have a seam line on this end, so that will be my back side. So this will be my front side, and you're going to fold your work like this and identify the middle point, and we are going to start putting through our drawstring from the exact middle of the front panel, going in and out of every 2 stitches. Just go in and out of every 2 stitches. So in order to do that easily, you can use your darning needle, and you just go in and out of every 2 stitches all the way around the waistband like that, and continue to do that all the way around. All the way around the waistband, and you're going to just distribute your stitches around that drawstring, and you can see that drawstring is going to help us make this skirt adjustable in the waist area. So if you want it tighter, you just pull on the drawstring and you'll get a tighter fitting around the waist. If you want it loose, then you're just going to pull on the skirt and it will loosen up. So after that, you're going to just make a knot here. And the next thing that we are going to do is to create the tassels on the slanting edges of the skirt. So you're going to cut some strands of yarn, and we're going to be placing these tassels every after 2 rows. So I'm going to get 3 strands like that, and then I'll put at the very base in that hole here. So that will be my first spot. Then I'll get 3 strands again, and I'll skip 2 rows. So 1, 2, and into the next I'll place a tassel. Then I'll get 3 strands again, skip 2 rows, and into the next I'll place a tassel. So this is what it's creating. You're going to go all the way around the base of the skirt, creating these tassels, skipping 2 rows, and then into the next, place a tassel. So this is what your skirt will look like when you go ahead and place tassels along the sides. So I'm going to just go ahead and work on this side as well. So far I am through with the first side, attaching tassels on the base of the first side of the skirt, and we're going to just go ahead and do the same exact thing here. I'll cut some more threads and I do the same exact thing on this side, and that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you tag me in your finished products and make sure you leave a comment below to let me know how this video was, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.